Alright, hello everybody. This is Urban, also known as Sam Lambert. I'm coming back to you with another audio foil. Let's get to it. Now, I repeat, I am not claiming that this is always the case, but it can be a very common one, more common than you think. How many times have I heard that before? So let me explain here. You see somebody repeating an action over and over and over. Let's say, well, I don't know what they're doing, but let's say they're just doing it over and over, and you might refer to that as an OCD, right? Now, here's the thing. I'm only going to speak for myself here. I came to terms, in terms of my beliefs, that the brain and every decision you make, whenever it's subconscious or conscious, is all determined by one thing. And that is called the relevancy filter. And even though I know how it works, I cannot reliably predict it. So hence, if you really were in a physically perfect situation, and the game is not glitching, everything's perfect, but then for some reason you start lousing up speedruns, and it's not RNG, it's not your control stick going bad, everything's perfect except for one thing. For some reason, I'm fucking up. And you come to the conclusion, it can only be you. But why is it you? That's because the relevancy filter is not a fucking joke, my friends. That is my belief. Alright. Now, I'm going to give you an example here. Let's say you're listening to a rap, or pop, or a heavy metal song. Now, you hear somebody say the word fuck in it. That could be your cue to say fuck, or you could choose to ignore so when you hear it. So let's say, and I am bringing this up because it's not just the voice, but it's also being accompanied by instruments. And this is something I wanted to tell you about. So while audibly hearing a voice saying fuck could prompt you to say fuck, and you could program yourself to that, while you're doing that, you're also hearing a guitar at the same time. That means potentially just hearing that guitar will also be your brain's prompt to say fuck. Okay? Now, so maybe if you're out in public and you see somebody repeating a thing over and over and over, maybe it's not just some OCD, but maybe, just maybe, whenever they consciously realize it or not, because you see, pretty much just about all of us have a subconscious mind. It's just that a lot of us, at least at one point, were taught to disregard this as something else. Oh, just ignore it. It's just static, honey. No, it's not just static. Go fucking investigate it. And then also not being able to properly tune in to the station, as a matter of speaking. Alright? But yeah, consciously or subconsciously, either way, they don't want some noise in the background to become their prompt to do something. Hence why, I'm not saying this is always the case either, but, there's a lot of times where, oh, wow, why does this person have that sleepwalking trigger, right? Yeah, exactly. That could be a very common thing. So, yeah, next time you see somebody repeating something over and over, instead of just coming right to the conclusion, oh, they're just having an OCD episode, maybe at least subconsciously they don't want something in the background to become their trigger. And then you're probably going to say, well, there's constant spaced repetition, and you're right about that. But the other thing is that with the way people are, and in my experience at least, is that they are like personal minefields. What that means is that sometimes somebody could be having the personal experience of an emotional impact. Bob Proctor talks about this, and he says that's another way for people to change their paradigms. Instead of the repetition, they could have the personal experience of an emotional impact, and that can wire them straight up from there. He mentions 9/11, and, that was a big paradigm shift for a lot of people involved in that area. But, and then he says that doesn't happen often. You can count it on constant spaced repetition. Now, with constant spaced repetition, it's always possible that there could be something during that time frame and the timing that, could keep happening. That person does not want that to become their trigger. And, like I said, personal experience, emotional impact. You know, there's that. You could say, okay, well, then how about this? Then why don't they wear headphones? And that works to an extent, but keep in mind that their physical body is still going to pick up vibrations. And depending on how well you are, you could actually just physically feel something. You could probably make out what somebody's saying if you do give yourself training that way. See, also making myself more and more harder to clone, where I talk about low-pass filter training, where one ear is hearing the muffled version and the other ear is hearing the clear version, so you're teaching your brain, you're giving it training data how to basically demuffle what's being said through a wall. So yeah, you're going to have to be careful of that too. You know, you could probably have like a wireless headphones transmitter to like revibe you, and that can work to some extent depending on what the wavelength is. And even then, you know, there's the power into it, and that's only going to do so much, and how multiple frequencies are allowed to be in the same space. And if you go to my other video where I talk about wavelength dominance shifting, where if you have like a stereo widener and you feel like these free things are kind of dominating over and over and over, that's called wave riding. So yeah, alright, that's probably going to be it for this audio segment. I'll talk to you guys another time. Bye. Alright, I think we're recording now. Alright, sorry, I forgot something. Alright, so I want to elaborate a little more on the whole relevancy filter thing. There's a thing that I do before I shift gears, you could say. I could do a count, because you know what? I mean, this is just another way to really interpret it, but Peter H. Gilmore talks about how we want to practically work with the human animal, right? You do that by using your conscious mind to practically work with your subconscious mind. I guess that's one way to interpret it. So one of the things that I do to practically work with my subconscious mind, the habitual mind, and I have my logical mind, all right? But keep in mind that even the stuff you say of your logical mind is a result of the winner being the most relevant, all sorts of variables, blah, 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 blah. All right, so, for example, I'm pacing back and forth at the bathroom, and I'm thinking about some stuff, and then I want to take a break. All right, maybe I want to start doing breathing, or maybe I want to get out of there and go back to my room. So what I do is, I'll do a count, like I'll count on my fingers, for example. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I say 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then I say 3, 4, free to go. Now just remember, that's just an example. As cliche as it might sound, you're going to have to find something that works for you. And you might be thinking, okay, well, what if somebody finds my green light signal and then they take advantage of it? All right, well, how about this? As cliche as this might sound, let's do a balancing act. Half the time, well, I mean, you could be a little more complicated than that, but you get where I'm going with this here. Shuffle. Some of the time you could do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then sometimes you could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example, if you want to do that. Another reason why I like to do this is because in case I ever become a sleepwalker myself, and that means like the habitual mind comes on, and I'm not exactly sure how entirely off the conscious mind is. Yeah, I would like my habits to be set up where I'm repeating stuff over and over and over, so that way if I am sleepwalking and my habitual mind takes over, and there's a more and more likely chance that I'm going to be in that repetitive state while sleepwalking, which means I'm going to have all the more time to wake up and regain conscious control of my logical mind before doing something regrettable. Alright, now this should be the end of the segment for real. Thank you for listening. Take care. Goodbye.